Hi, thank you for tuning in. I had a follow up on James Baguley and I thought I'd share it. I did in the last video mention I found his will, or I was looking for his will. Well, I did find it. I don't know if the original existed, but somebody had wrote it down in a book from I don't know, I think it was the 1820s or something like that, and had wrote down the will in Latin, so I did have to have it translated. And so I thought I would get on here and follow it up with you. It's a pretty interesting will. It talks about some of his belongings and where he's buried at and stuff. So it's short, though. It's just a couple paragraphs or something like that. So it's a very short will. And there's two dates associated with it. The one is 1440-41 and March 17th, which was probably when he died. And then there's another date of July 19th, 1438 that says, I don't know if that's when it was actually probated through the courts or whatnot. So I'm not sure if it shouldn't have took that long, but I don't know. So I'll go ahead and I'll share the will with you. And it's Testament of Magistrate James Baguley, lately Rector of Ecclesley, belonging to the Sanctuary of North Street. And it says, I, James Baguley, Rector of All Saints Church, North Street, wish to be buried in my parish church, clearly in sight of the entrance of the choir under marble stone. So he's buried underneath the church there. I leave to the government of souls, Rector of the Church of Stopford, Cheshire County, William Hank, one book of songs with a silver clasp, one book of ballads to Lord Thomas Astle, and chaplain, one small baselard, and it's basically, and it's a girdle with silver too with this, so it's a very prized item. This is something that's probably passed down to him, as a lot of his ancestors were knight, and it's basically a short sword or dagger of sorts. And then in a book with motets, music, I leave to my parish church one book which second folio is Dem Deliciasis, the Day of Love, and one book of rules of grammar, and one professional or processional book, and a second folio of Nadicta not called. They are chained before the rector and the choir of the church. So the books he had chained up before the choir, and it's interesting too in his will. Now, in the last video I mentioned there seems to be that he was in trouble at one point because he was living with a woman as he was rector in a marriage situation, which was a no-no, but a lot of priests did it back then, and he had a child named Thomas Baguley. He was held from any more promotion, so was James for a time period. And now you would think that he would have left the silver girdle short sword with his son, but I've always suspected that the son was probably the Thomas Baguley that was burned at the stake in 1431 he was a Wycliffe supporter or Lollard, and he was burned at the stake in 1431. And I mentioned before, he had mentioned that if talking about the sacrament or the communion, that if you make a god out of bread, you've made a god that the mice and the rats could eat. And he also called all priests and nuns pretty much parts of the devil, you know what I mean, that they're arms of the devil or whatnot. So he pretty much sealed his fate by speaking out like that. But so that's his will, and it's pretty amazing. I don't know if All Saints, if anybody's ever been down beneath the church, but this could be a very I doubt if they would, but DNA-wise, if his tomb is down there, which if I know Baguley's and Baguley's, he's probably going to have a pretty prominent encasing down there. He's probably going to be in a lead casket. Maybe it could be encased in wood, but he's going to have his arms on there, the Baguley arms, and he's going to have his ecclesiastic arms on there too, that you can see in the stained glass window there at the church. And all the Bagleys seem like they were either soldiers or they were part of the church. Even Henry is mentioned at one point. He had a stained glass window with his name in it, Henry Baguley, and that was a medieval period stained glass in another church. But as I said, if he's still under there, that's clear DNA evidence that might come out at some point someday, maybe, and could be used, because the family, he was brothers to Thomas Baguley Jr. and Robert Baguley, which I believe we descend from, Robert or Thomas Baguley from when I look at it records, and they used a lot of the names over and over again. So, when you go through recognition rules and stuff like that, you'll see a lot of these names. But I thought I would just get on here, share the James Baguley's will from 1441, and I thought it was pretty interesting. It's pretty rare wills survive from that time period, which the original one probably don't. And it's was at least copied down from a historian in the 1800s. But you guys have a blessed day. I'm going to have my PayPal. If you want further, I'm going to do, my next video is going to be on forgery and feuds of the Bagleys and things that happened in Cheshire. And my next video, it'll take me a little research to put it all together and bring the video to you. So hope you enjoyed it, and you have a blessed weekend.